Hello, hello, it's Kimberly, your astrologer friend, and I'm coming to you pretty much exactly on the new moon in Cancer. Let's just start that again. I'm coming to you on the new moon in Cancer and would love to share the chart with you. I'm hoping to be more proactive in doing face to camera work because I had a good momentum with it, but then I stopped and I've been away for the last 5 weeks celebrating my dad's 70th birthday and one of my very best friends' 41st birthdays and seeing family and friends in between all of that and also keeping the day job running, which is your daily horoscopes for LUK. So definitely always tap onto the LUK website and the daily horoscopes tab is right there. Excuse me, my voice is not voicing, which is a surprise. Anyhow, let's get on and share with you the screen for the current new moon moment. We're going to go through all of it. We're going to get into the details of what's going on with the sun and the moon. So this is a fairly stripped back chart, and as I said, it's really close to, we're about an hour off of the exact precise moment for the new moon. And I'll just precursor this by saying that the full moon moment that corresponds to this will be 24th of December 2026. So if you are really tapped in, tuned in, excuse me, if you're really tapped in, tuned into what's going in right now and are honing your intentions, or you feel like this is a really pivotal moment for you to have a very profound fresh start, new beginning, you might like to consider that date to the 24th of December 2026, Christmas time of next year, and what might be transpiring, what might be coming to fruition. And actually, already when I think about that time, I'm already knowing that that is going to be my mother's 70th birthday celebration. So I'm taking it from my father's to my mother's 70th. So I'm already looking ahead to Christmas 2026, absolutely, because that is when my mum will want to be getting together for those all important celebrations. So maybe you too have an anticipation within you to know what's coming. And just on a personal note, that is quite poignant for me to recognize that full moon in Cancer, the sign of home for me and my mother, who is, of course, a symbolic representation of home, given that I came from her womb. So she's actually a Capricorn, so the spotlight will be on her in at that time. But this is what we're dealing with collectively: is the luminaries, the sun and the moon, in Cancer at 4 degrees 7 minutes of the sign. There we can see it down there, 4 degrees 7 minutes of Cancer, that this conjunction of sun and moon is taking place. It's a conjunction of the egoic nature of the sun and the sensitive, sweet, moonly nature of the moon, the more yin and receptive and nocturnal force of the moon. When these come together at new moon moment, it's about seeding, it's about coming down to this point of intentionality, which is not boom, 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 singing or dancing. We're not yang, out there partying like we do at full moon. We are really taking a moment of calm and still, a moment of quiet. And so we think about the zodiac sign that this is happening in. And of course, you look at the house of your horoscope that it's happening in for you and the aspects for you that this planetary conjunction is happening in your personal chart. And we reflect. This is a moment of real gentle reflection, gestation, seeding, quiet, earthing, everything that's going on in the quiet under earthing of the ground. So again, We look at the fact that this is a new beginning of the cycle, and we look at the fact that this is in Cancer. And Cancer is, as I said, it's all about home, nurture, mothering. The moon is in its domicile sign, so this is a very comforting, nourishing moment to work with. We've also got the co-presence within the conjunction of Jupiter at 3 degrees, and it really is nestled so closely together with that new moon being at 3 degrees 32 minutes. It's within a degree, it's within orb of a degree. Wow, 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 how incredibly exciting, wonderful, and mesmerizing for this new moon. We've also got Mercury co-present at the end of its tour of Cancer. It's 28 degrees. In a couple of days, it will move into Leo, where it will spend the whole of July in Leo. But let's not worry too much about that. Although I am currently writing your July horoscopes, and I've already written a couple. I've got 3 in total. Anyway, I shall post links to those in due course. But Mercury's right at the end of its tour, and that is adding a sense of curiosity, intellect, cerebral functioning to this new moon. We are on the same page in terms of focusing on the Cancer house of the horoscope, because we've got the presence of Mercury, we've got the presence of Jupiter, we've got the sun and the moon, we've got that tag team of luminaries honing in on the Cancer house. So whatever Cancer represents to you, we can go through it, don't worry. That is the area of immense focus. What else have we got going on? Mars, over here, little red planet Mars, little arrow Mars, is making a perfect sextile to the sun and the moon, because Mars is at 4 degrees. How neat, how tidy, how totally spiffy is that the moon and the sun are receiving this extra energetic pull from Mars. I really, really, really love this. And Mars spends the duration of July in Virgo. Of course, Cancer, the sun will be in Cancer for the majority of July. The moon will just fly on by, but Jupiter will also be in Cancer for July. So we've got this really nice theme at new moon that carries us into the rest of the month of July. As I say, I really like it. Mars in Virgo is all about precision, effectiveness, diligence, consistency, weaving and getting on in that rhythmical way. And the moon is all about the rhythms of the working day as well. And, you know, Cancer is all about nourishment and nurture and feeding and home. So just that lovely combination of being able to take assertive action, and this being a new moon, which is all about new beginnings, assertive action on home turf, diet, wellness, well-being, water drinking, getting up from the desk, you know, that really dynamic action that we're working with here. And depending on what house of the horoscope it's in for you guys, you can leverage it, especially I would say the people that have yang, so Aquarius, Aries, Gemini, Leo, Libra, Sagittarius placements. I feel like this is so nice for them. So for the Aries, it's all about home and domesticity. For the Gemini, it's all about their purpose and their home. For the Leo, it's all about money and purpose with the Mars, but all about closure and regeneration for the Leo rising. For the Libra, it's all about their career and their ability to regenerate offline as well. So basically, for all the people that have the yang rising signs, Sagittarius, Aquarius, air and fire, it's really nice for that practical instinct. Love it. Okay. And then over here, we've got Venus and Uranus coming into their planetary conjunction, but I would say we can definitely already feel this because it's within 10 degrees. I mean, that's a very generous orb, but I still would say firing on all cylinders. And with Venus and Uranus, we still have one more turn of Uranus. Uranus will go into Gemini in July, but we'll still get one more turn of Uranus going through Taurus from November 7th later in the year for another 4 months, I think it is. maybe 4 months. Anyway, this is a culmination moment of really sensing what Uranus has done for you. Since Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018, what has Uranus given you? What has his gifts activated within you? What has Uranus in Taurus been about for you? And so there's lots of different manifestations of this. I can go through them again one by one. If I'm just picking out these themes of Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, it's quite simple looking at the earth and the water manifestations. They are so strong right now. I think it's great. On the flip side, what we've just come through in the last 48 hours is this gnarly little square from Saturn and Neptune hanging out in, you guessed it, Aries. They're over here in Aries, fire sign Aries, like a sore thumb, like a little sticky wicket. I don't know what they are. They are two little red, annoying planets over here. Because if we didn't have those two, we'd be just soaring. We'd be just grossly involved in baking bread and, feeding from the bosom and, suckling happily along from the milk bottle. And there would be no hard edge of Saturn or dissipating quality of Neptune in a square to that new moon. However, I personally think because we have passed the square that we're kind of out of the woods. Some people would disagree, and there's still very much at the new moon chart the presence of Saturn and Neptune. However, I'm going to just look on the bright side, be the eternal optimist, and say we are through the briar patch. We are through this sort of thorny hedgerow of Saturn's door knocker that says knock, 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 who's there? Hard work. Hard work is there. Hard work, realizations, reality, and death. You know, Saturn is the planet of karmic consequences. Saturn is the planet of enduring effort and discipline and so on. And Neptune there with it is the planet of boundarylessness. And so we've got this planet of boundaries and boundarylessness, and together combined, they are really making such a foggy mist of collective consciousness, where on the one hand, we're expecting people to follow the rules and they really aren't. And this is in the house of the sign of war as well. And then we've also got Pluto up here at 3 degrees, which is forming a quincunx aspect to the new moon. And we also can't neglect to see that Mars forms the apex of a yod or a finger of God with Pluto, Saturn, Neptune. And of course, in astrology, there are malefic planets and benefic planets. And so benefic means, good, and malefic means bad, without kind of being too, basic about it. But the bad planets are Mars, Saturn, and Pluto, who have all got that kind of heavy-handed themes that are attached to them. So for Pluto, he is Hades, he is Lord of the Underworld, he is a significator for kidnapping, abuse, manipulation, control tactics, and suffocation. If somebody's got you by the balls, then that's Pluto. And also Mars is the planet of the fist, the warrior, the action planet. And in Virgo is very needly, the needle kind of piercing through with precision. But that eye of the needle, being there in Virgo with these attachments of Pluto and Saturn, as we described Saturn already, this planet of karmic consequence and boundaries, and the heavy scythe of Saturn that represents death and endings and finality and, enduring long-term plans, basically, this like ongoing, the grind of industry and the continuing momentum of a of a machine, basically. So it's almost like thinking of Mars as the spearhead with Pluto and Saturn at the very propulsion end. And, given that we've had bombs going off and people launching missiles in the last few days, really brings that to life, that kind of visual to life. And then on the flip side, or on the underbelly, we have the Cancer, and this notion of home and family. And of course, like if you've been into astrology for a while, if you've been paying attention to me or others, you might remember that during COVID, or pre-COVID, we had the North Node in Cancer, and therefore the eclipses in Cancer, which was very much about families who were, you know, being punished by Trump's regime when there was this talk of the wall, and everybody, not everybody, some people were being held captive in camps, and it was very much about mothers and children, mothers and children. And I remember this signature in the stars, which was all about Cancer versus Capricorn, Cancer versus Capricorn. And at that time, Pluto was in Capricorn. And so it was this punishing, this grueling, horrendous scene on the news where you had mothers and children and then the wall. And so we're kind of, obviously everything's changed and there's been a lot of shifts, planetary and literal, since that time. Loads has gone on. But again, the themes repeating would be this standout acknowledgement of mothers, children, families, homes, and bringing eminence and reverence and prominence to that, and how we can collectively create homes for others, offer safe passage, offer nurturing, offer food, fuel, what makes a happy home. We've got such striking themes here with Venus in Taurus, and Venus being in its domicile sign in Taurus, and the moon being in its domicile sign in Cancer. And, those two being these really strong anchors, as it were, of, how we cultivate nourishment, Cancer, and food, materials, whether it's finance, food, or fodder of any description, the presence of that, but obviously negating everything else that's going on at the same time because of, that square from Saturn and Neptune to this new moon is very apparent. As much as I want to look on the bright side and be Pollyanna about it, we have just made our way through that square. So let's, just once again remind ourselves that the full moon moment, the fruition moment of this, the celebratory moment, will be during Capricorn season, end of 2026, Christmas Eve. So imagining a sort of like going forward, fast forward in time, it being 24th of December 2026, what might we, celebrate at that moment? What might come to fruition at that moment? There will still be a square in the full moon chart between Neptune and the sun and the moon at that moment. We will also have a North Node in Aquarius, so potentially a little bit more socially dynamic. Mars will once again be in Virgo. How interesting. With a quincunx, let's say both from Saturn and Pluto. Pluto now direct. So that's super interesting, right, guys? Super, super interesting. Jupiter will be on the South Node in Leo, the fall of a king. Maybe. We've been talking a lot about kings recently on social media. Not me, but people. I've been very quiet on social media myself. And at that time, there will also be a trine to Mercury in Sagittarius. Interesting times. Interesting. Anyways, let's go through sign by sign of what this means for your zodiac sign. Okay. So for the Aries rising, very simple. It's really reverberating around the same themes that we have been touching on for the collective, because Aries is the easiest sign that we read from, being the first sign of the zodiac. Perhaps why I have such convictions in astrology is because I am an Aries, and there are so many Aries astrologers out there historically and presently. Anyway, so Aries rising, Saturn and Neptune in your sign. What kind of identity shift are you feeling lately, Aries rising? Do you feel that you are somewhat of a spiritual gangster, somewhat of a responsible spiritual pillar of your community? Maybe you are. And maybe right now you are using your drive, your tenacity, your energy to spearhead a movement, to take action in a way that considers your work in the community and your work as an individual and your individual presence, your ego, your identity, like all of that stuff could be culminating somewhat, and over the past couple of days as well. Furthermore, the new moon in Cancer is all about your family, your home, coming home to self, myself. This is so on point. I really think my grandmother is close to her time of passing, and I just saw her in England, so I'm super touched that I got to have that time together. She is also a Cancer, born on 4th of July. So we shall see if she makes it to her 95th birthday. And I'm super blessed to have spent some really special moments with her this year and last year. So that's lovely. But to say that this is a time of home and family would be accurate. New beginnings, new fresh feelings around home. I'm coming back home to Tokyo and reaffirming my place in the household in Tokyo, making myself known. So for you as a fellow Aries, it could be really a time of grounding and awareness and knowledge and growth of home, family, nurture, etc. For the Taurus risings, this new moon is about your connection to close kindred spirits, and it's about uh, emotional, your ability to communicate with emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, that was the word I was looking for. So, Taurus rising, you may have a secret or hidden recovery agenda that's going on in private that's making it really difficult to reach out and be, connected to your kindred spirits, to your siblings, to your sisterhood. But try to do it, because this is a time of interactivity and connection. Okay. And it's also a time of passion with Mars in your 5th house of children and joy, creativity, the arts. So you may be feeling super inspired, super plugged in, but there being just that little bit of resistance because of something that's going on with you personally. But it's a beautiful time. So Taurus, it really is a good time for Taurus to be feeling good. Gemini rising, this new moon is about your wealth, your personal abundance, your sense of self, your sense of purpose, your sense of money management, and your role as a person who contributes, who has something to give, who has something to offer, who has a connection to the material world, but also to your inherent capacity to do, to build, to produce, to offer something. And there is also a process that has been going on behind the scenes in private that could also be confidence building and kind of like allowing you to come out in preparation. It's preparing you to come out because you've got Venus and Uranus in your 12th house of closure, gestation, and private processes. So basically, this might be somebody who's been recovering from having a baby, or somebody who's been stepping back to kind of do some kind of work job that's been tireless and a little bit feeling stuck, for example, but now you're in a new chapter to basically produce and feel good about what you do. However, friends and community and the people in your social environment and other people's demands may have been quite heavy in this last 24 hours. And there's a lot of responsibilities you're taking in the community, which affect your ability to make money or to spend or to handle money in the way that you want to. So look out for that. Like you're wanting to honor your friends or people around you, but also you know that you have to focus on your practical position as well. Cancer, Cancer rising, really social time for Cancer, given Mars in your third house, Venus in your 11th. This is a new beginning for you. This is all about new you, new moon, new vibes, and really stepping out, which is one of the reasons why I'm on camera. I'm like, go for it, be present. People want to hear from you, show up, but also expectations of career and career, the heavy weight of career stuff too, given Saturn and Neptune are in your house of, public recognition, public perception, basically. Ugh, why was that so hard to say? Yeah, so driving ahead among friends, this is a really beautiful time for Cancer to enjoy before everything shifts into Gemini in July and then Leo season kicks in. So really enjoy this one, Cancer. You've got a year of Jupiter in your first house, which is really, really nice, but it's not, you know, you're also going to be thinking a lot about your position, your role, and other stuff coming in soon. Leo. Leo rising. This is all culminating. This new moon is all culminating in your house of unconscious process. So you might be enjoying a retreat, time off, stepping back from the action. Allow yourself to dream, allow yourself to just go with the flow a little bit and relax and allow yourself to grieve and indulge yourself behind closed doors in your crypt, in your sacred tomb, because this new moon is all about unraveling for you. It's all about taking space as well, grieving or grieving an old life, an old version of you, transitioning, transforming, but also rejoicing in how far you've come because Venus and Uranus are in your 10th house of public honors, public achievements, success. You can really acknowledge the fact that you've come such a long way while also surrendering to the next. And you may have a real great sense of purpose in July as well, like knowing that you have a practical sensibility that's very strong because of Mars in your second house. Like, you can make money, you can be confident in yourself, you have something to offer. Virgo rising. This new moon is taking place in your house of community and social networks and common goals and wishes that you have for humanity. So this is a beautifully enriching and social new moon to generously give of yourself to others. And this is also the 5th house from the 7th for Virgo rising. And so it can also be about your partner's children or other people's children. And I know quite a couple of Virgo risings, who that will be relevant to, kind of embracing the community and the community of children. And for Virgo rising, Mars will be in your first house. So really stepping forward with courage, with tenacity, taking action, and realizing that you've come such a long way in terms of your wisdom, your life philosophy, your growth, your personal development, your lens on the world, your alternative viewpoint that you've cultivated thanks to Venus and Uranus in your 9th house. That could also be an extension of how you reach people globally and internationally through social media and putting out knowledge, that this could be a really strong time for Virgo rising in terms of community, but also having like this unique message that they can cut through to the masses. And you'll notice that Mercury is poised to sextile Uranus. And so for the Virgo rising, your ruling planet is Mercury, and it's really well positioned here in that nice position, almost sextile Uranus. Very nice for the Virgo risings socially. Socially and in terms of your wisdom and relationships, for sure. Then we've got, and the unfortunate downside for the Virgo risings is the negotiation of give and take in intimate collaborations. So navigating how one is affording other people resources and what one is getting back in return. So this feeling of like, oh, who's paying for dinner? Who's giving the most? Who's giving and who's getting? And so that might be if you're giving a lot to a child but not getting anything back, but the future payoff is that you've got a kid, for example, or if you have a mortgage and you have to pay interest on the mortgage. Basically, Saturn and Neptune are going to be dissolving and redefining your understanding of give and take, and what you can trust others to show up with in material or energetic settings, if that makes sense. If not, contact me for a reading and then we will go into it more. Libra risings, as we're talking about Saturn and Neptune, these planets are in your seventh house of relationships. And so one person or several individuals could be a little bit annoying right now as you step up with a position of prominence. So you might be trying to come off well, like setting really nice intentions for your goals, your long-term aspirations, basically moving in the direction of your career or a really beautiful public image, your reputation, how you come across. You might be coming across in a really good light. It could be a really positive year for your career, a really prosperous year for your professional or personal sense of achievement and success. This includes being a mother. So you might step up with a bouquet of flowers on a stage saying, well done me, I just gave birth, or I am a mother, or I am a human resources professional, or I am a baker, or I am a hotelier. I do things that are connected with these wonderful Cancerian vibes. Yay me. That can be the, or I have boobs. Libra rising can be the beauty queen who is resplendent with a hourglass figure, for example. Libra rising is all about prominence right now, success, setting sail on a path of success. Okay, so manifesting, the right support structures and people who can help you and people who have already proven themselves to be reliable, and moving forward with that, because you've got your ruler Venus with Uranus over here in Taurus, and that for you represents jointly held resources. So how you're coming together with this new, radically new ideas about those you can depend on. And that helps you to elevate your prosperity and your ambitious side. But as I say, Saturn and Neptune being a sticky wicket in your house of relationships and just jab, 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 being a tiny thorn in your side, which is a responsibility towards others. It's a, new fashioning of your understanding of partnerships as well. That was Libra rising. Now on to Scorpio risings. We have for you guys beautiful ninth house activation of the new moon and Jupiter in your house of wisdom, knowledge, understanding, experience, long distance travel, higher education, philosophy, and growth. This is the house where you launch your dreams, where you absorb yourself with a vision of what could be, of what you might learn, of what you might come to know as your truth, your faith, your experience of people and the wider world, of global communities and travel. So, so nice for Scorpio. You could be like putting forward a book, launching a blog, having a wonderful experience in terms of your love life and new avenues for understanding and opening up the world and your perspective on life. Amazing. You might be learning about a new religion, a new philosophy, a new way to pray. Who knows? But Cancer is a beautiful zodiac sign to have this in. And so you can also rely on your friends and network and community with Mars going through your 11th house. And you can also be having these really exciting, promising experiences with a partner, with your partnership planet Venus coming up quick and hard towards Uranus, demonstrating these unusual partnerships that you now have and this unusual and exciting outlook on love that you've developed. How wonderful. Something unconventional about the way you do things, Scorpio, Scorpio rising. What is it? Who have you come into contact with as a partner, and what is unique and different and special about them? I'm sure you have lots of key people, key partners who are different and unusual. Thinking about one person who has my Taurus Mercury, the astrologer, in their seventh house. Quite a few Scorpio risings, to be honest. Anyway, and the sticky wicket for Scorpio is health, work, and workplace environments. How annoying that the day-to-day grind might get in the way of your dreams. Annoying, annoying. And health as well. That's super sucky. Sagittarius, or people as well, like people that you work with, forcing you to do the dismantling and reappraisal work of, how you set the alarm and go to work. Sag rising, Sagittarius is in the spotlight because we've got your ruling planet, Jupiter, together with the sun and moon. That really puts a lot of emphasis on you and your commitments, Sag. Your ability to fully devote yourself and absorb yourself in bonds, contracts, and to grow and to learn and to become more aware of what it is that you signed up for. What did I agree to? Where's the small print? Where's the fine print? What am I getting back? What am I giving in to this, pension plan? What am I giving into this agreement, this marriage? All of the above. So Sagittarius, the sticky wicket for you is in your house of creative expression, children, projects, passions, hobbies, crafts, creativity. You're now on this really wildly imaginative journey with Neptune in your fifth house of play and pleasure and joy and fertility. But Saturn's there too, and he's saying, okay, this is going to be hard work. And so you're wanting to double down right now on your agreement to collaborate and merge and come together and bond and unify and be really, absorbed with an agreement, a partnership. And that could be the absorbing nature of what it takes to detach from a partnership as well. You could be getting a divorce, or you could be doubling down on your intention to pull together, to, really follow through on this thing called marriage or mortgage or, medical insurance or student loans or whatever it is, whatever the agreement that you've made to follow through. That's where we're at. And at the same time for Sag rising, long-term goals, long-term plan with Mars there. What are we aiming for? Like, what's the business? What's the title? What's the, what does the photo above the mantelpiece say about me and you and us and the hard work that we've done? And also Sag rising, health, wellness, and the journey that you've been on with your body or your body maintenance. Venus creeping up on Uranus to announce to you and the world, perhaps, wow, I've really changed the way I live day to day. I've really changed the way I look after my health day to day. Look at how radically I've upended my approach to wellness and well-being. Amazing. I love the Sagittarius risings journey over the past few years. It's been amazing to watch them shake up their sixth house and do different employment, different types of work as well. Capricorn risings. For you, this is all about unions and happy partnerships. So if you're a Capricorn rising, think about the partnerships, the marriages, the relationships in your world, who you want to marry or who you want to partner with or who you want to go to the distance with, distance with. Go the distance with someone Capricorn because Mars is in your house of travel, long distance. So mother, plan that vacay, plan that holiday, because the new moon is in your house of one-to-ones and Mars is saying, let's go. But, the full moon could take us there, or even the first quarter moon could take us there. Who knows? And then you've also got Venus, pleasure planet, and the ruler of your house of joy, fun, celebrations, vacations, time out, holidays, fun things, shopping, yum, 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 desires, fertility, flirting, dating, sexting, all these things. Venus is there in that house of fun, in that house of pleasure, here with Uranus to demonstrate to you or to call your attention to all the things that you've done since 2018 to identify more with your sense of creativity, hobbies, or love and radical choices around making a baby or making a craft project or making a business or doing something fun. So the sticky wicket in the Capricorn rising chart is the principle of the homestead, the family architecture, and the notion of ancestral lineage as well. So baggage, perhaps ghosts of past, Christmas past, although it would be spring past because it's Aries instead of Capricorn. But the principle of the noose or the hard work involved with keeping a property going, perhaps, or keeping the family unit going. Fourth house is all about foundations and about where we land and ground ourselves. So whether it's putting our head on our bed or having the foundations of our property or the foundations of our ancestral lineage and exploring our homeland and our landlord and all those different things. So all those significators could come in as a bit of a frustration for Capricorn over the last 48 hours. But now, new beginning in relationships, make it fun, make it adventurous. Aquarius, Aquarius risings, you've got the new moon in your house of health, work, wellness, workplace environments, daily maintenance, upkeep, habits, acts of service, your duties, your errands, and admin. And then you've got Venus in your house of home, your house of roots, and Mars in your house of bonds, investments, and close ties. So this is a time to rely on other people who can help you, enjoy your home and keeping the wheels turning, but not being too ferocious about it because, of course, Pluto is in your sign and Saturn and Neptune are in your house of speech and local environments. And then Mars is on the receiving end of that. So be mindful of how you're expressing and communicating yourself as you get things done. Okay. And then we've got Pisces rising, and this is the house of play and house of joy and house of fertility for you, Pisces, where the new moon is. Cancer represents the children in your world that you have given birth to. It is an amplification of the things that you find fun, your talents, your performance skills, your hobbies, and being known for these things that bring you joy. It could be a really exciting year for Pisces risings, given that Jupiter, your planet of career, is in your house of joy and self-expression. But be mindful that your earning capacity is also a red flag, let's say. With Saturn and Neptune in your house of money and earnings and values and how you make a living or make something of yourself, you could also be re-establishing and revisioning and re-amplifying and reimagining what you do to make a living, what you do to make money, how you make money, how you make bank, how you accumulate, and what your pay packet looks like. So that could be this magical experience around wealth, or it could be really hard work, diligence, step by step. And that could be also factoring as you play, as you plan children, as you plan hobbies or artistic experiences. That's the 12 signs. That's all I got because I gotta go. But this has been your new moon in Cancer. And I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope, look, the sky is now dark. I'm going to go see no moon. No man's moon is out tonight. I'm going to go and look at the stars, head out into smoky, foggy, humid Tokyo. And I hope you have a beautiful new moon. We're pretty much on the new moon right now. So this is coming to you at new moon. New moon blessings. I shall be showing up consistently from now on. So please do share this with your friends and family, your chosen family. And that's all from me. And speak to you soon.